He could hear Nola screaming in the background. He would do anything for her. And with that, he shattered the gem and its particles fell to the floor. He had been imbibed with so much energy. He was so powerful. He could see beyond the stars. The queen sat watching her daughter's unconscious body. She had refused to take any meal as she mourned. Great fear gripped her when she heard of the witch doctor's fate. The king, her husband, had undertaken a journey into the spirit realm to seek out the spirit king. In his absence, she refused to leave her daughter's side. She would protect her with her last breath. A maiden rushed in, cutting through her wandering thoughts. She brought news of the king. The king was dead. Her world crumbled before her eyes. She rushed to the throne room and saw his lifeless body on the floor. She knelt at his side and cried her heart out. She couldn't believe he was gone. The agony nearly drove her insane. First her daughter, now her husband. As she cried, she noticed a thick fog, and the guard behind her spoke in a voice she wished not to ever hear. "The time has come, O Queen. The time for your atonement." She knew that voice. It always haunted her dreams. She turned, and behold, the guard was the Spirit King. "Your husband was an honorable man," the Spirit King said, "but I must say honor is for the weak. Today I release you from your curse and from this world," he said as he walked up to the queen as he doubled in size. The palace guards attacked him, but he swatted them like flies as he absorbed the life force from them, turning them to stone. "Help!" the queen screamed, calling for the guards. "There is no one to help you, my queen," the Spirit King said, as he glowed with life force energy. "As we speak, your kingdom is being overrun by my omashi. Your husband's blade helped me cut through the barrier and set my omashi loose. Your kingdom will be gone in the twinkle of an eye. I will exact my revenge on the realm of man, and I will rule this world, and from its ashes create a new world. A world of the elements. I will build an army, and we will crush the power of the light. So, you see, dear queen, there is no hope. Your surrender will quicken your fate," he said, as the queen screamed in pain as he wrapped his palm around her head. "Let go of her!" someone screamed, and a large rock suddenly hit the Spirit King's arm, causing a sharp pain. He roared in pain and looked in the direction of his attacker. There was no one save the little Princess Nola, who seemed to have awakened from her comatose state. "You," the Spirit King said. "I almost forgot about you." She stood burning with anger as she stared deep into his eyes. "Come to me, my child," he said, beckoning to her. "I know you have been through a lot." The Spirit King said, "But that is your duty to me. You are mine to command. Now you are free," he said as he pointed to the queen. "Your duty is complete." Her eyes suddenly caught sight of the queen. She had been turned to stone. The rage built up within her as the tears rolled down her cheeks. "You have taken everything from me," she said, and with that she rushed at the king. Instantly, vines shot out of the ground and the walls and bound her, stopping her in her tracks. She screamed and cried in pain and frustration. "I shall deal with your insolence later, child," the Spirit King said. "For now I have a kingdom to conquer." She was helpless. She cried. It was all over. There was no hope, and now her mother was gone. The tears flowed down her cheeks as she gave in to the situation. In her sorrow, she heard a voice. "The Kiara I know has the strongest will. Nothing can stop her." She looked up and saw Berka. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Your pain is our pain. We are one family. Remember," Berka said. "We are here to stand up to the Spirit King together. First, let me get you out of these bonds." He merges his form with her body. She felt the power coursing through her veins. She ripped through the vines like it was nothing. The Spirit King sensed her energy and riled with anger. "You dare defy me, you speck of dust!" he screamed. The energy flowing within her was tremendous. She felt powerful. "You shall pay for the havoc you have wrought on my family," she said. "For the pain and deaths, I will be the sword that cuts you down." And she channeled an energy blast at the Spirit King. He screamed in pain. He had never thought the ABIKU spirit's children would ever defy him. She screamed as she gave it her all the while thinking of her parents. An explosion erupted, throwing her through the palace wall onto the courtyard. The Spirit King emerged from the crack in the wall unscathed. He was enraged. The princess lay on the floor with the rubble passed out. The Spirit King walked up towards her, the earth quaking with his every step. He grabbed her arm in a bid to pull her up. "Death shall not be an easy way out for you," he said. "I will give you 1,000 deaths before you die," he said as the gem in his chest burned a fiery red, the flame coursing through his body. "Leave her alone!" a voice screamed. He looked up and saw a host of the ABIKU spirits gathered before him. They were visibly raging. They had never defied their master before. But something seemed to have changed. Something seemed to have awakened the beast in them. They filled every corner of the kingdom, ready to attack the Spirit King. "How dare you challenge me?" the Spirit King roared. "You are beneath me! I will destroy you all!" The ABIKU knew they couldn't challenge the Spirit King. He was a prime entity, but together they stood a chance. And so they began unifying. Each channeled up their life force, merging into one unit as they connected with each other, leaving them in a comatose state until their life force was returned. The connection was taking a serious toll on them, but they stayed strong. The Spirit King suddenly felt a burning sensation within him. Whatever they were doing was preventing him from accessing his power. They seemed to be draining his life force as well. He found himself immobilized. He was unable to move, and the pain was piercing through him. Berka walked up to the immobilized king. He was the last in the connection link. He had been infused with all the power of the ABIKU spirit. He felt super empowered as the energy coursed through him, and he plucked out the gem fixed on his chest. The pain brought the king to his knees, and slowly he began to turn to stone. He roared painfully as his form hardened and the life force drained totally from his body. The princess stirred in the rubble. The blast had knocked her unconscious. She still felt dizzy. She looked up to behold the situation. She saw Berka holding the life force of the Spirit King. She was shocked. She did not know how it all happened, but from his facial expressions, she knew something wasn't right. The Spirit King wasn't dead yet. His life force still lived in the gem, and it sought to possess Berka, who was still infused with the energy of the ABIKU. But he fought back, struggling not to give in as the red gem energy tried to corrupt him. Gathering all his might, he pushed it back and took control of the gem. The king was defeated. But the power of the gem was so much that even with all the power of the ABIKU, he could barely contain it. the energy began cracking his form. If he gave in, all the other Abiku will die. He couldn't afford to let them down. He would have to make the ultimate sacrifice. He could hear Nola screaming in the background. He would do anything for her. And with that, he shattered the gem and its particles fell to the floor. He had been imbibed with so much energy. He was so powerful. He could see beyond the stars. He felt the raw energy. He could do anything. Nola's cry called out to him. And he immediately recovered from the seduction of the power flowing within him. She ran up to him. She could see his body breaking under the immense power. She cried. "I'm sorry for everything," he said. "I wish we had more time. Each day I couldn't save you broke me. I wish I could have told you sooner how I felt about you." He said, "The mortals call it love. I call it Kiara." She hugged him as the energy dissipated back to the Abiku spirits. Burka soon became a pile of energy dust which fell to the ground. With the Spirit King dead, his Omashi ghouls were destroyed, and his power over the kingdom was broken. The villagers were turned back to life, and the siege on the realm of man was over. The queen ruled with her daughter, and the kingdom was at peace once again. Nola always visited the Abiku spirits and bonded with them. She had learnt to control her spirit form. Every full moon, the Abikus gathered round the spirit tree to honor Burka. They could never forget his sacrifice. She could never forget about him. She wished they had more time together. She wished she could have said thank you for all he did for her. The tears rolled down her cheek. There was so much she wished for. Most of all, to see his smile again. Suddenly leaves began to fall from the spirit tree. She looked up, surprised. She could feel his presence. A leaf slowly fell and sat on her forehead. A smile spread across her face. He wasn't gone forever. Thank you for being a big part of our epic adventure. Stay tuned for more adventures, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the latest updates from our channel.